Welcome to AHA, Heather, Steph. It's nice to have you here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm here to talk about the Iroquois Indian Museum. So first, let's start with what is the history and the background of that museum?
Well, the museum was actually formed in 1980, so we've been around for a long time. At the time, the founding director was doing research on finding as many Iroquois artists as she could find through Canada, New York, Wisconsin, wherever the Iroquois communities are. She traveled with a number of other Native people, did the research. From that, Iroquois Arts Directory was made, and then in the process of that, they were interviewing one of the well-known antler carvers. His name was Stanley Hill, and he and his wife said, "You know, you're doing all this research. You should start a museum."
Right, let's put it somewhere.
So and because she was from our area, Schoharie County, and there was no, at the time, the New York State Museum was kind of moving away from their life groups that they had of the Native people, and we're like, there's really no Iroquois museum in our part of the state. So we pulled together as much as we could, and we opened the museum in 1981, and it was all about trying to educate the public about who the Iroquois people are through their contemporary artwork.
Amazing.
So it was starting collecting all kinds of different art that we could find, everything from baskets to beadwork to sculptures, and amassing a collection which is now one of the largest collections of contemporary Iroquois art that anybody has. And then archaeological records, historical records, and it's all about, this is who the Iroquois people are.
That's beautiful. So I know the Iroquois is just one naming convention or term. So what would you explain the other name the Iroquois people like to be referred to by?
The word Iroquois is actually a term that was given to the people the original people from New York State by the Algonquin peoples and the French. And it's a derogatory term, which most people don't realize, but it's widely used, it's widely recognized because it has been used for so many centuries. But the actual name that the Iroquois referred to themselves is Haudenosaunee, which is people of the Longhouse. And the Longhouse was the traditional housing that the people lived in, which was a great big long elm bark house. So we're trying to transition, we're trying to educate about the naming, and it's a slow process, but people are really starting to learn that Haudenosaunee is really the preferred term.
All right, very empowering. I will try to use that going forward.
Me too.
So, just to point back a little bit, you touched on education at the beginning, so I want to talk about the educational programming the museum offers. Like, what educational programming do you offer that really brings in folks to learn more about the Haudenosaunee people?
We have multiple facets of our education. Our basement or our downstairs is a children's museum, and we have many different activities that we do with small children versus the school-age kids who come in, and we have different programs there. We also have some video visits, so if you're out of state or even in Canada, we can do introduction to the Haudenosaunee that way. We also have groups that are going to come in. We have like the Boy Scouts are coming in. We have crafts people come in all throughout the summer. Usually every weekend we have some sort of demonstration with a different type of crafts person to show the culture and to show and educate people. And we have people that just come in to do research as well at our museum. So it's been very interesting and very dynamic way to teach people.
What about community events? Is that part of the educational programming? Because community events are educational, so
Yes.
What about that?
Community events are too, and we just had our big fundraiser at the museum where we advertise in our whole local area especially, and we brought in a band and we bring in the community. We had a teacher appreciation luncheon or reception this year where we invited all the schools in the local area to appreciate the teachers, because it's been the last couple of years have been quite challenging.
Yeah.
And we go to different festivals in the area and we set up a table and just bring our information. We did go up to Akwesasne this year, which is a reservation on the border, and it was for a children's powwow, and all we did was bring our information about the museum, and then we brought some activities for the children to do. So we figured the kids would probably get bored between dances. So we had quite a fun time doing that, and it was really neat too to sit next to a grandmother who as I counted the beads with the child, she counted them in Mohawk. She only spoke in Mohawk to the child. So it was really educational for us, too. So we're always learning, and
goes all around, full circle.
Yes.
That's beautiful. It seems like there's a lot of stuff for folks to be able to do at the museum.
Yes.
So how do you center folks who identify as Haudenosaunee within the museum?
Well, that is, something we're always striving to do, is include the Haudenosaunee in what we're up to at the museum. And so for many, many years, we've had Haudenosaunee on our board of trustees. We've had Haudenosaunee work at the museum. We've had interns. We write for grants so that we can bring the artists actually to the museum. For instance, on every Labor Day weekend, we have our big event, which is our festival, and that is bringing as many Iroquois people as we can there. And so it's dancers, and it's artists, and it's storytellers, and it's food vendors, and it's nature park people. And so it's always trying to bring the Haudenosaunee voice into what we're up to. And we have guest curators who help us with exhibits. After 40 years of the museum and really going out to the communities and meeting people and striving to find a new artists and up-and-coming artists and older artists, we know a lot of people, and we use that to say, well, is there anybody you would recommend that we bring in? So it's because we are not native run, we really try to get as much native input as we can.
Which is very important.
Yep.
Too.
Which
Very
is super
important.
exciting too this year, is that we're having a gentleman come in, and he's coming in every weekend in August, and he's actually doing a beading display with public participation. So it's actually a fence that we have, and some of us have prepared all the pieces.
We've cut a lot of PVC pipes that we're going to weave into a wampum belt.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then that installation stays.
That's
so
beautiful.
So that'll be on the landscape, which is nice, and it's all about. There are many of the traditional wampum belts which were made by Haudenosaunee people to commemorate policies or agreements between them and the non-native community, back in 1700s. And a lot of the wampum belts contain figures that are holding hands, and it was all about trying to get along with each other and that. So this wampum belt will be a take on that. It'll be a sort of a modern representation of the older wampum belts of the figures holding hands. And it's kind of cool because the artist who conceived of it, who's a Mohawk guy, who will be here, each one has a different color heart.
Oh,
So it's going to be really cool.
that's going to be very beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Folks got to visit that. So that's an installation. What about your exhibits? Do you have any past exhibits or favorite exhibits that you want to speak about?
Well, we have run the gamut. We've in the past we've done Native Americans in baseball. We've done performing artists. We've done fashion exhibits, and we brought in native fashion designers. Currently, our exhibit is Material Shift, which is and I'll see if I say this right, is taking non-traditional materials and making traditional items, or making non-traditional items out of traditional materials. So for instance, one piece we have is a COVID mask, but it's made out of corn husk, which is normally used to make corn husk dolls or corn husk mats. So it's a fun exhibit. We have a whole bunch of rattles hanging from the ceiling that are made from Mr. Potato Head and
Cabbage Patch Dolls.
Cabbage Patch Dolls and all that, as opposed to the traditional cow horn rattle. So that's kind of a fun exhibit. But most of the exhibits, when we ask the Iroquois for input, there's usually some sort of a lesson to be learned there. It's not just a fun exhibit, but it does talk about identity, or it talks about things that are happening in our world today that affect not only us, but the Haudenosaunee and everybody else. And so there's usually a little bit of a thing to be learned by looking at the labels and really viewing the exhibit.
I love that it's two-faceted, and it's educating while being entertained as well, and appreciation for the art that these folks are making.
People are enjoying this exhibit, I think,
Well, thank you. Well, it was nice having you today, and I was super pumped to hear about this, and I'm definitely going to visit myself.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it was great having you today,
Well,
Steph.
thank you
and
very
Heather.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.